Hello to every participant, and thank you very much for joining us. Let me introduce myself. I'm Clémence Castell, Project Manager at Secure Communicating Solutions Cluster and coordinator of the project Cluster4Smart. And on behalf of the whole Cluster4Smart consortium, which is present here today, I would like to say that we are more than happy to welcome you to this final event webinar of the Cluster4Smart project. And we will deal, of course, with the cluster managers training, and we will be glad to present you our achievements and our projects. So just before I start, I have to remind you or to inform you that for GDPR reasons, we are recording this webinar, and it will be available as a replay on our website afterwards. So let me just introduce you to the agenda of this webinar. So we are honored to have Ulla Engelmann with us for this webinar. She is head of the unit Advanced Technologies, Clusters and Social Economy at the European Commission, and she will tell us some words of the welcome and introduction. Then Samira Khemkhem, who is head of the International Relations Studies Department at the Itiri Institute of University of Strasbourg. And she will make us an introduction to the Cluster4Smart project. Then Alain Tubiana, who is representing a consultancy firm Gnomon in this project, and is head of the master also in cluster management at the University of Strasbourg. And he will present us the challenges and the new challenges and competencies of cluster management training. Then I will present you the content, the training content of the 4 Cluster4Smart modules. And you will also have a demonstration of the Cluster4Smart training platform by Juan Ortega, who is project manager at the Amuebla cluster. And at the end of this webinar, we will be glad to answer your question. You will be, to this effect, invited. You're invited to ask your question all along this webinar, thanks to the question Q&R module offered by Zoom. And our moderator, our colleague Gal Kormende, will gather them, cluster them, and ask them to the relevant person at the end of yeah, just before we start, I would like to show you our teaser of the Cluster4Smart course, because yes, it's the best way to set the subject. So please, Gal, if you can display the video.
If you stop sharing, I can start.
Okay. Now you should be able.
After production mechanization, thanks to steam power, after the discovery of electricity allowing assembly lines and mass production, after the automation of production thanks to computers, our economy has now entered a new digital age for industrial technology, allowing more rapid and efficient large-scale data gathering and analyzing. The Internet of Things, virtual and augmented reality, additive manufacturing, artificial intelligence, big data and cloud computing, and all future potentialities accelerate and transform all production and consumption processes. Smart factories are at the heart of Industry 4.0, which integrates the digital and physical worlds to make more efficient, more customized products at lower costs more rapidly than ever. These disruptive technologies also impact the services and give rise to new business models. This implies new organizational models impacting all functions of the company, from IT to human resources. This changing context challenges the occupation of cluster manager, who must be able to lead more and more complex strategies and projects. The course Cluster4Smart is dedicated to cluster management practices in the context of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You'll master how to identify and analyze new value chains and set up a cluster strategy and its business model. You'll know how to accompany your members in managing the innovation process in light of new technological trends. You will explore creativity management tools in order to foster collective intelligence among your member teams. We'll give you some tips to better prepare your cluster internationalization. You'll learn from our experts' experience through training videos, guides, tip sheets, quizzes, and other tailor-made training content. We wish you a great training experience with Cluster4Smart.
Thank you for watching. And just before we start, I kindly ask all the speakers, in order to respect the webinar schedule as much as possible, not to exceed 15-minute speeches. So now I share the floor to Ulla Engelmann, and thank you very much again, Ulla, for
okay. Thank you very much, and a warm welcome to all of you. I'm very pleased that I can be here for the opening of this webinar, and also because the topic which you describe and you are working on, I think has become more pertinent than ever. Seeing the evolutions in the last weeks with the crisis, we all experience these changed working conditions. And I think what you were working on, preparing such a training course, has gained in the last weeks or months importance. Because all our working patterns and the fact that we are here in the webinar and all connected shows that we all could demonstrate that we can work differently, that we all can do much more teleworking than ever thought before. And I guess this will also have a long-lasting effect on the ways we are continuing to work in the future. So with this new working reality, and that means also that the digitalization has become much more important and a reality compared to before. So we had been now, during the last weeks, been in crisis mode. We had to react, and there I think also the clusters could demonstrate their power and effectiveness of being able to connect locally. And one of the good examples on the speedy crisis reaction of the clusters came also by the cooperation we have with the European Cluster Alliance, where we could reach out in the beginning when it was clear that there is a lack of protective gear. And then we ask to link also together with the makers community on the 3D printing. And this via the clusters, we could have a very quick reach out, and it showed that there is this link between the clusters and the regions and the local reality. So during the crisis mode, I think it became very clear why clusters are important. But now we are entering the phase of recovery. And for the recovery, there will be on Wednesday, the Commission will publish the recovery strategy. And this is, of course, a long-term project. And there also we will see the needs, for example, for skills, because we know that many businesses have been very hard hit, and we see also the figures of some of them laying off people. So that makes it then even more important that we can see how can we work on skills for people. You get possibilities. For this, the Commission is working on a pact for skills, which is part of the updated skills agenda, which will be announced on the 8th of July as a communication. And for this, we are also using the information because we have created with our cluster expert group a working group on skills and clusters. And via this skills and cluster group, of course, we also take what can clusters do, how can clusters help the re- and upskilling agenda. And I think what you are presenting here is also part of this helping to upskill, in this case, cluster managers. So this is a very good example of initiatives which are going on, which can help re- and upskilling. And via our new European cluster collaboration platform, because we are boosting our ECCP, this European Cluster Collaboration Platform, and working on it, because we want to make sure that we have a better link to the twin transition, meaning green and digital, because before the Commission has also published the Green Deal, and so now when we have to rebuild, when we have to invest in the recovery strategy, we have also to take this into account, the greening. And so this is another set of skills which is needed. It's not only the digitalization skills, but it's also the greening skills. And together with this, with the recovery strategy, we want to use it to make our ECCP useful. And therefore, we do a new mapping of cluster actors that show cluster organizations and cluster members, but also trainers in cluster management will be mapped. And we will also use the platform to relay interesting information on training for cluster companies. So we want really to pool this information and identify cluster organizations that offer training. And this new mapping can then also be used as a source of a new dynamic partnering tool where we want to link all cluster stakeholders of the ECCP community. So training and capacity building activities will be included in this tool. Secondly, we know that many cluster stakeholders are developing their own tools and training, and we want to place it at the disposal of the community like a repository for training materials so it can be shared and be more visible amongst the community. And also policymakers can then find information and tools so that they can find inspiration and also interesting ideas how to design policies to better support clusters. And finally, when the context will allow, we will have our new capacity building events with specific training sessions for cluster managers and policymakers. And so we will with this also have new calls coming up, which might be interesting for the cluster community. We have our Cluster Go International in the third quarter of 2020 and the European Cluster Excellence Program, where we also foresee an increased budget in the fourth quarter of 2020. So cluster building and training will of course continue to be a priority in our future actions, and it will be also part of our future joint cluster initiatives. And of course, we also see it in this broader context in the Pact for Skills, which will be published. So that's why our interest in tools like your Cluster4Smart training platform is bigger than ever, because we believe this training format is part of the new normal. And therefore, we are looking forward for this presentation, which is an inspiration for us. And I would also warmly congratulate the consortium for the work achieved. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ulla, and we are very glad that the Cluster4Smart project is in line with the initiative and policies that you are talking about. And of course, we hope that we are one first stone of the wall, and that other tools in this sense will be developed and cover new other key skills for cluster managers regarding, for example, greening, etc. So I will let now the word to Samira to present you our working program for the project Cluster4Smart.
Thank you, Clémence. Just let me put the PowerPoint. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I'm very pleased to introduce to you today Cluster4Smart, this Erasmus Plus co-funded project that started 2 years ago. Before I would like to thank you all for being here. Thank Ulla Engelmann for joining us today and for encouraging us to go ahead with our work. And thank you also to all partners for your contribution and your dedication to this project. First, I would like to start with the aim of the project, which is to respond, indeed, as it was stated in the teaser, is to respond to the needs for qualification among cluster managers and their teams to adjust to the new challenges of Industry 4.0. The main goal has been to develop an e-learning platform for European cluster managers and stakeholders, providing them with training materials on identified needs. So before presenting the different stages of Cluster4Smart, a few words about the partners. This consortium is a Hungarian-Spanish-French partnership. Two Hungarian partners, first Akinag, which is a renewable energy and building trade cluster, IKOSZ, an association of some of the key business clusters in Hungary. Two Spanish partners, first CEI Burgos, European Business and Innovation Center of Burgos, and Amuebla, which is a Spanish cluster from Murcia region in the southeast of Spain, dedicated to furniture industry. It's one of the strongest in Spain on this industry sector, with a strong emphasis on innovation through CETEM Technical Center. And finally, three French partners, Gnomon, which is a consultancy company dedicated to cluster management and collaborative innovation, and POL-SCS, the coordinator of the project, Secured Communicating Solutions, which is a world-class cluster based on in the southeast of France. Its aim is to promote development of competitive research and development projects in the fields of microelectronics, telecommunications, and softwares. And finally, University of Strasbourg, with its French-German master program dedicated to the training of cluster managers. What are the different steps of Cluster4Smart? The first step was a comprehensive survey among cluster managers and cluster stakeholders that was conducted to identify training needs and interests. 146 responded to this survey. The results are published on Cluster4Smart website, so please feel free to have a look at it. And here are some of the key needs for skills identified in the survey. As you may see, it's the cluster managers' needs are more focused on language capacities, entrepreneurship and innovation, soft skills like creativity, decision-making, critical thinking, leadership, internationalization, value chain, collective intelligence management. So the survey helped us design a joint curriculum consistent with the European qualification framework that will be presented to you by my colleague Alain Tubiana in a couple of minutes. But I can already tell you that we became very quickly aware that we won't be able to produce the wide range of training material required in the curriculum. So we had to make choices, difficult choices, to decide, and we decided together with what are the key skills that we would like to cover in this project. It was a great opportunity for us, University of Strasbourg, to sense the importance of going forward after Cluster4Smart and create a whole distance learning program for future cluster managers and their teams in English online, and we are actually currently working on it. This new program will complete our on-site French-German master and will be ready within 2 years. Clémence Castell will tell you more about the production phase, the third phase, about the different pedagogical choices that we had to make, and also about the different lessons that are included in our training course, but make it as diverse, as practical and thorough as possible. The fourth phase, which is the development of the platform. As you may know, the online platform is now ready for with all training materials, videos, handbooks, infographics, and quizzes, and will be presented to you by Juan Ortega later in this webinar. To conclude, I would like to finish with a couple of pictures of video courses that were presented were conducted in Strasbourg. Here is Alain Tubiana delivering a course on cluster strategy and cluster management in our studio. A second picture of Ramon Vivanco Mugara, international project manager, who is delivering a course on internationalization processes. And finally, Jean-Alain Hérault, who is a professor in economics at the University of Strasbourg, providing a training course on innovation, creativity, and clusters. To conclude, I would like to say that the very positive aspect of this project, of this cooperation, is that we were able to benefit from the expertise of university professors, cluster managers, international project managers, and different experts, and this is mainly due to the diversity of the partners. To finish, please feel free to go to our website to have a look at the survey results, more details about different steps of the project. Also, you may find a link to the platform in the website, and you can read the story of the project until today. Thank you very much. I was not very long, so feel free to ask questions later if you have some. Thank you.
Thank you, Samira, for this introduction of the Cluster4Smart project. We can already go on with Alain's presentation on the new challenges and the competencies of cluster managers.
Okay, thank you, Clémence. Good morning, everyone. I will share my screen just to show you some slides. Well, this just before I would like to say we learned a lot in this project, and we probably did a lot of mistakes, but it's a first step, and we are going to work more on this online training content, because it's very important. It's a first step with huge challenges, high expectations, as Ulla said, and in a very fast changing context. But maybe the first question is, why should we train cluster managers? And that's why I'm going to answer. And then what are the cluster managers' competencies? And then the cluster management challenges. I have just a little problem with my screen. Okay. So just, I would like to remind you that cluster management is one of the key factors of success of our cluster initiative. But are we sure of that? I would like to take just one example which demonstrates the importance of skilled management team. It's in Italy. all of you know, have heard about the industrial district. There are 156 of them. And an Italian bank, Intesa San Paolo, decided 10 years ago to start conducting a yearly survey on the companies belonging to this industrial district. It's a big sample. It's about 20,000 of this company, and they compared the performance of this company with 60,000 companies that are not working in a cluster-like environment. And this is very interesting because they did the survey through the financial statements of the companies. So I think it's really interesting. And the result is that since 2008, well, the companies that are working in a collaborative network have higher turnover, higher labor productivity, they export more, they innovate more, and also they attract more foreign investments. But one could say that it's just a natural phenomenon, but it's maybe more complicated than that. If we look at the 10 best performing clusters in Italy, we can see that 9 on the 10 have a cluster organization with a management team. So probably it means that there is something important in this cluster initiative to get a cluster organization with skilled people to maintain and develop the network dynamic and also to develop new projects. So the only one is Metalli di Brescia, which has not any cluster organization. So what are the cluster manager competencies? Last year in Bucharest, I was invited by the Commission to give a keynote speech at the European Cluster Conference, and I asked questions to the audience, and in the audience there was 50 cluster managers. And one of my questions was about what are the words that best describe a cluster manager. And as you can see, there are a lot of words, and those words are a very interesting portrait of the complexity of this job, because the cluster manager has to be a visionary. He has to anticipate, he's a facilitator, he's a connector, a problem solver, and well, even a magician sometimes. So a lot of competencies to be a good cluster manager, and probably that the best word that resumes this is complexity. A good cluster manager is someone who is able to manage complexity in an ever-changing world. We try and doing this survey, as Samira said, we can summarize the competencies in this graphic. You can see that there are 3 core competencies, which are cluster strategy, collective intelligence management, and innovation management. And then you have around the other competencies, which are absolutely also important, like, of course, the knowledge of the industry and the business sector, strategic intelligence, ICT, project management, internationalization, public-private relations, business management, and marketing and communication. And we decided in the consortium to develop in our curriculum these contents. So the core competencies, the 3 core competencies, plus, of course, Industry 4.0 and ICT technologies, internationalization, and communication. So, what about cluster management challenges? Well, your companies are doing their best to develop in a very competitive context. So you must be at the top. And maybe you need also to have a little advance. So it's not so easy. And you have also to help companies to move to Industry 4.0. But digitalization is a complex process. And according to the Commission, in Europe, 100 million jobs are missing by 2025. So this is also about reskilling and upskilling. So helping companies to integrate these new technologies, to redesign their processes, and also to train the people. But to do that, cluster manager must be trained. They must be aware of all the challenges behind. And the third point, of course, is well, the new challenges brought by the COVID crisis. We are talking now about recovery, restarting the economy. We are talking about relocate value chains and to rebuild new value chains. And this is, of course, very complex. Cluster manager challenges are probably, firstly, how to be trained when you work 60 hours a week. It's very difficult. So probably that online training is a good solution. So you can be trained at night or on Sunday. The second point is how to valorize this huge amount of expertise you are developing as a cluster manager. 3, how to attract new talents in such difficult job. How to increase excellence in cluster management. And 5, how to encourage cluster manager mobility. So in Cluster4Smart program, we try to answer these 4 first challenges. But probably that we must go further by providing a more complete online training program combined with real meetings to create the network and provoke business opportunities for the cluster members. So just to conclude, of course, Cluster4Smart is the first step. We should go further and develop new contents and new formats. We tried in this project to produce a very high quality on contents, but maybe a good enough quality could be sufficient. Probably that we would like also to develop a quality chain for training provider that will allow cluster manager to be trained everywhere in Europe with the same quality level, and also give the opportunity to cluster manager to get an academic degree at the end on their vocational training pathway, because, well, they need to valorize the time they have been cluster manager. Maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years, but there is a lot of turnover, you know, in this job. Last year I was in Barcelona, we were training Catalan cluster manager, and in the room there was 27 of them, and I asked, how long have you been cluster manager? And only 5 of them had more than 5 years of experience. So probably that we should find a way to give an academic recognition through a diploma delivery at the end. Thank you for listening. I will be happy to answer your questions if you have.
Thank you very much, Alain. I will go on. Just share my screen. Okay, I will go on with presenting you the Cluster4Smart training modules. This activity was led by Unistra and Gnomon, thanks to their experience in cluster management and, of course, in pedagogical engineering. And you should know that I've not been the project coordinator since the beginning. Actually, I was working for the University of Strasbourg before January. So that's why I'm presenting the training contents today as the production of the curriculum and training materials were the biggest part of my work on this project. So what are, these are the learning outcomes, but I think that Alain presented them very well. What are the four modules of Cluster4Smart? So first, the first module is about the strategy of the cluster and value chain management. The second module is about innovation, and will deal with several aspects of innovation. The third module is about tips and to handle the cluster communication and to generate creativity. And the fourth module is about the internationalization of the cluster and how to build bridges with foreign ecosystems. So in more detail about the first module, cluster strategy and value chain management. The first lesson is meant to give you or to remind you of the main concepts related to clusters and value chains, reminding what are cluster for, and giving you a methodology to analyze sectors value chain. Then the second lesson is about how to build, how to design your cluster strategy until the elaboration of your business model and the set of services. And the third lesson is about collective intelligence, that is how to how to get people from different organizations and with different interests to work together around a common vision, and also through collaborative projects, how to set the collaboration, because there have to be some rules. Then the second module, innovation management. You'll have the first lesson, which is called Innovation, Creativity and Clusters. The aim is here to understand the innovation process, going through the evolution of the concept of innovation in history, and also going through the main concepts related to innovation, like knowledge, creativity, and also the role of the entrepreneur and of communities in innovation. And the speaker of this lesson is Juan, who is an emeritus professor in economics at the University of Strasbourg, and also head of the former head of faculty of economics at the University of Strasbourg. And he gives also class to Alain's students in cluster management. And I just forgot to mention the experts and professor of these the lessons of module 1. So the first two lessons about cluster management concepts and the cluster strategy are given by Alain, who you already know, Alain Tubiana. And lesson 3 about collective intelligence management is given by Carl Gedard, who is a cluster manager at a systematic cluster, and also he also gives class in the Master in Cluster Management of the University of Strasbourg. And he has lots of experience in the collaborative project. So the second lesson now of Module 2 is actually one key lesson of the Cluster4Smart course, since it deals with the transition towards Industry 4.0. So first, you'll have an introduction to Industry 4.0 and the fourth industrial revolution. Then we selected the core technologies that industrial company members could need to integrate within their processes. So it's important for the cluster management to understand them, to understand how and what this technology could be applied to, what are the challenges, and what would be the new opportunities thanks to these technologies. And the two last lessons, topics 6 and 7, are more about the how to integrate these technologies in the organization's processes, and how to adapt, how to handle the change among the organization's processes and among the human resources, and also about the new challenges related to human resources within the fourth industrial revolution. This lesson was made in collaboration with lots of experts, technicians, engineers, and academicians. First, some topics are made by Juan Jose Ortega from the cluster Amuebla, with lots of his colleagues. Some others are made by technicians from CEI Burgos, and the two last topics are given by Davide Meinero, who is a lecturer in the field of business management and digitalization at the University of Turin. Then the third lesson is meant to make you understand how to handle strategic intelligence within your cluster, as understanding, being aware of your environment and of new tendencies in the market and in the technologies. It's a key to for higher degrees of innovation. And this lesson is given by Josefina Garrido and Blanca Puche Garcia from our cluster partner Amuebla. Then the third module, cluster management and communication techniques. The first one, creativity management tools, is meant to give you tools and process schemes to help you generate creative ideas. May it be in workshops, for example, in the frame of collaborative projects, in the frame of meetings, or even in open innovation events. So you'll have, for example, introduction to design thinking, mind mapping, some other tools for problem solving and decision making. some also tips to facilitate your meeting. So it was designed by me when I was at the University of Strasbourg, and in collaboration with Cristina Martinez from CEI Burgos. And the second lesson is meant to give you some tips to handle your communications activities within your cluster. So first, to keep well connected with your members, and also to bring visibility to them. And this lesson was made in collaboration with CEI Burgos and Amuebla. So it's given by Cristina Martinez, Community Manager of CEI Burgos, and by Raquel Ortega and some of her colleagues, who is Communication Officer at Amuebla. And the last module, international collaboration. You'll have the first two topics, which are meant to provide you concentrated and intelligible information. First, about EU cluster policies. So policies towards innovation support, cluster support, support to SMEs. And in the second lesson, information concerning the access to finance. First, through EU funds and programs of interest for clusters and their members. And in the second topic, we wanted to give you an overview of the different kinds of financing toward which you can guide your company members according to their development stages. And the last lesson, but not the least, is internationalization processes. So it's naturally about the internationalization of the cluster, how to meet cluster, how to meet and partner with cluster in foreign countries, with other networks or with other kind of partners. And it's this lesson is given by Ramon Vivanco Mugarra, who has great experience in leading international cluster projects, and he represents Arkener cluster in this project. So this was about the main contents covered by the Cluster4Smart course. And now, how do we display this content? We use different kinds of pedagogical tools, mainly videos. So see that you'll have a lot of well, traditional videos, traditional course videos with a teacher and his course presentation. And we also designed some call it motion design videos, where we try to focus more on representing the ideas with pictures to help understand and remember better. Every videos are provided along with handouts and sometimes also tool sheets. And a few lessons are also given in the form of interactive infographics. So these are infographics where you can click and make more information pop up, play, for example, videos, go to other external sources linked to the subject, etc. And for the practical content, you'll have a lot of quiz to help you repeat, remind your knowledge. We'll provide also a few case studies. So these are meant to apply the knowledge that you just acquired. And for example, you will be invited to train to analyze your own value chain, or to set up a cluster strategy, etc. And we also provided some vocabulary sheets to also answer to one express skills needs, which was to improve English skills. And that's why also all the Cluster4Smart course is English and with English subtitles. We estimated the Cluster4Smart, well, the learning time for the whole Cluster4Smart training to around 60 hours, to be precise, between 58 and 59 hours. So if you train, let's say 1 to 2 hours a day, you can achieve the whole course in 1 or 2 months. So I'm now down with the training contents and how we display this content. I let you in the hands of Juan to show you, to give you a small demonstration of our training platform.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, thanks, Clémence. Hello, everybody. Once we have the, sorry, I'm going to share my screen. Once we have see the project or the course structure, okay, and the different modules and units that we have, we are going to see how it works in the platform. The platform is the course is already available in the platforms. It's training.cluster4smart.eu, and it's also linked in the project website cluster4smart.eu. So this is the main page that you have at the very beginning. When you enter, you need to go here to login and to create a new account here in these options. So it is very important to write correctly the real name, because it will appear in the certificate as you write here, okay? The username and the email address, that's all, and all the data that is just registered for the course. We are not going to use for commercial purposes or something like that. If we come back to the home menu, once we have our password and our username or our link, we can here introduce them. It's very important to click on this because this is the catch-up. In this case, sometimes they ask for some question like this. We continue. And now we can see the 4 modules that is the structure of our Cluster4Smart course, the 4 different modules and the introductions. Before going to see each of the module and introduction, I'm going to give you some points about the different options that you have here. We have here this is the home. This is lessons. In this option, if we go there, we can see the different units or lesson that is composed each of the modules. Okay. We have also a forum. There is one for the general issues and one for each of the modules, where you can share your comments or whatever with other students and also with us. There is also an option to send messages to each of the teachers of the modules. And also at the end, we have here my achievements, where we can see the progress of each of us, okay? We can see the different topics of, in this case is 3.1, creativity management tool, the different topics, if we have passed or not. There is not time because all of these topics are theoretical. There is no quizzes. And also we have the opportunity to download the certificates on which finish the course. we are going to see how to get it. Okay, we can come back to home, clicking here or here. It's the same. And before to pass to the different training modules, I'm going to show you the introductions, because we have introduced this as a kind of a guide. Okay, we have here some guide for all the students about the course structure, the methodology to or how to get the certificate, how it works, the platform, and explaining all the different menus or options that you have, and also support, because as it's an online course, there is always a email account available for all the students. Okay, this is just it's an interactive guide. You can see here module, for example, module 1. You can go into each of the lesson also to see the different topics that they have and so on. We can come here to home, but it's important here in introductions, you have here in the left menu the preliminary test. Okay, this is a test not compulsory, but we invite all the participants to do it in order to check their knowledge at the very beginning or before to make the course. Okay, it's not going to be assessed or evaluated. It's just to know and compare your knowledge at the beginning and at the end of the course. We will have another kind of test like this at the end of the course. Now, if we go to module 1, all the modules has more or less the same structure, at least the interface that we can see here. It is very important at the beginning to read this, because there is a play button here and you need to subscribe to each of the modules. This is very important to do it, okay? In this case, I'm already subscribed to the course and I can see all the topics of this module. Here in the main menu of this module, we can see here the different lessons, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Also, we have here the assessment, 1.4 final assessment. And also we have here an direct access to the vocab sheets with this vocabulary or key vocabulary for this module. Okay, doing a start here, for instance, in 1.1, we can go directly. Okay, what we have here is the first video introduction to this lesson and the different topics that we are going to see. What is important here is also is to move to this menu that you have on your left. You can go directly to the introduction here. Okay, in all of the modules, you are going to see always in all the topics. Sorry, in all of the topics, you are going to see a video and also a PDF that is possible to download and keep in your computer and study, and not online. Okay. It is not compulsory to be online all the time while you do this course. You can go to the next one, topic 1. We have again a video. All videos are subtitles, English subtitles, and we have here the PDF of these lessons. In the lessons, what you are going to have at the end or in some lessons is a short quiz. In this case, it's not compulsory, or it's not necessary to get the certificates. We have here 5 questions, true and false. Okay, just to improve your knowledge, or yes, to assess your knowledge during this unit. Okay, here is a lesson quiz for the whole lessons. In order, like here in 1.2. Topic 3, for instance, there is one quiz just for this topic with 4 or 5 questions. Okay, we're going to come back here at the beginning. Okay, and how we are going to assess all the different topics or all the different lessons. At the end, or also here, we have a direct access to the final lesson and also to the vocab sheet module. Okay. The final lesson in all of the modules, we have the same assessment, final assessment, with 10 questions it is necessary to pass the each of the assessment. It is necessary to have at least 60% of correct answer, and we will have 3 attempts. But question will change randomly in each of the attempts. Okay. In this case, we can see here that I have already made 1 attempt, and I guess just 20% of the score in 3 minutes. For each of the 10, we have around 20 minutes. Okay, I come back here. Once I have passed one of the modules, I can go to the following one to see just that they follow the same structure. Okay, all the modules have more or less the same structure. In this case, maybe we have a new resource here that is the Technosits. That is a kind of summary of all the knowledge or all the training material that we have seen here in the different technologies towards the industry 4.0. But at the end, we have also again the final exam here in the assessment module, module 2. It is important that I'm explaining how to pass or how to get the certificate, but all modules are open for all the students. It means if you only want to check or to improve your knowledge in communication techniques, you can register in the platform. You can go to module 3 and just make some topics. It's not compulsory to do in order to have module 1 and module 2 and later module 3. No, you can go directly to module 3 or module 2, or I'm going just to see how is this about setting up communication strategy and topic 1 or cluster communication, and I can go directly to this. It's not compulsory to have all the topics achieved to pass. Okay, but in this case that you would like to get the certificate, of course you need to pass the 4 different assessments for the 4 different modules, and I'm going to show you the final assessment because this is quite different. At the end, this is a module 4, the last. Imagine that you have passed module 1, module 2, module 3, because you would like to have the certificate, and then you make the full module 4, and you need to then to do the final exam, okay, as usual for this module, but you have also a final course test. This is a compulsory, but in this case, it's not evaluable. We are not going to evaluate if you answer correct or not. It is just for internal purposes. We are going to compare this information with the preliminary test, and we are going to compare these answers to know how the students are improving their knowledge and to improve in further trainings these training materials. Okay. Also, at the end, you have an optional questionnaire where you can download and upload this. It's very simple questionnaire about your new skills and how you can implement this in your day-to-day work. Okay. For us, it's going to be very appreciated when you do this optional questionnaire. Okay. I come back to home. I always use this, and I think I'm pretty sure that I have all the answer for sure. Some of you are, I think, in some of the attendants maybe are a student. You have other question that you can make now during the question and answer. Okay. And I give the floor to Clémence again.
Thank you very much, Juanjo, for the presentation. Yeah, so it's time now for questions. So please, Gal, if you want to, are there some questions? And if you can ask them we will be happy to answer them.
Oh yes, there have been some. Many are, well, several are revolving around certification. So one question is whether the academic recognition would be available, and where and how. This particularly, so I would like to Samira to answer this as one of the responsibles for the Strasbourg course.
The certification linked to these projects is still unclear. We don't really know how we will be able to do that, but this is mainly the motivation for the University of Strasbourg to go ahead with an online full program to train cluster managers, and the certification will be a master degree after 2 years with a more complete program that will cover the whole joint curriculum that was designed in this project. So we're working on it. I hope it will be available on September 2021. So it will be in English, a whole online course in English. The certification for the courses that are included in this project, for me, it's still unclear how we can provide certification, because we were not able to cover all topics that are required in the joint curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Alan, if I can also answer this. There is one certificate currently in the platform. Okay, it's not validated by any university, of course, but we have a certificate with all the materials, all the different modules and lessons, and also the training length time. Okay, at this moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there are some practical questions. Whether one module can be followed if the certificate is, of the overall thing is not needed, and whether a module can be retaken and attempted again and again.
Yes, I think it's a question for me, for the platform. Yes, you can do whatever your module you want at any time. Okay, you can enter and go directly to module 4, module 2. It doesn't matter, and you can retake whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Only the final assessments, you have only 3 attempts to do it, but the theoretical or PDF are available as ever. Okay.
Okay. Well, this is a free course, no question about it. What about its availability and the experts' availability? Clémence, maybe.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, this is maybe one of the, if I may say, weakness of our course. We are aware that all our course consists in theoretical resources, and there may be a lack of interactivity. The goal was from the beginning to gather a pool of resources that to make it available for every for cluster managers at a large scale. But the aspects of interactivity with a lot of experts worked on it, a lot of technicians and engineers worked on it, but it will be difficult after the end of the project to keep connected with the persons who designed the course. It's a distance learning program, but as we said, it's the beginning of something and something bigger. And I think that one of the improvement, and if we want to go further after Cluster4Smart, is to integrate it in something bigger. Involving, as Alain said, mobility, networking, more interactivity with experts and teachers, of course.
Well, and of course, this was a decision as well, since we decided that in order to have the largest possible visibility and accessibility of this course, this should be available the whole year around. So if we, as the question suggested, this was only done at certain start dates, then of course the experts could have been timed and scheduled for that. But with the availability all year around, this was a decision that we should rather make it available to everyone. And with that, I would like to give the question to Alain about whether this training platform our own development, or have we modified an existing one?
Well, I think about the platform. The question is, what did you say? No.
Well, yeah, the platform is different from the course.
Yeah.
Let's answer both. I'll let you answer the course itself, and then Juan for the platform.
Yeah. Yes, it's Juan for the platform. But what was the question about the course?
Have we based it on existing courses, or
No.
was this developed from scratch?
No. This was developed from scratch. We started with this survey. As I explained, we had about 150 answers from cluster managers and other stakeholders. I would like to remind you that the previous survey on cluster management was in 2009, so it was 10 years before. About cluster, it was about cluster managers qualifications. So we started from scratch with this survey, and of course we put also our own expertise. Well, typically cluster management training is one of my activity. It's not, I don't train only students, I train also professionals, and I've trained about 200 cluster managers in Europe and abroad. So, well, I have also a vision of what should be done. So, but it's a new course.
Yeah, and as I was involved in the production of the materials, I can say that it was a lot of work. Many experts were involved and created different diverse lessons, and also some have all of them have different, well, their own activities, and were doing it voluntarily for the project. Yeah, it was a side work and a lot of work for them. Also at the university, we produced every at the university, and also for other partners who produce other materials. All the videos were home produced, all the documents, also the new innovative content, like the interactive infographics. They were also produced at home, if I may say so. And on this part, I also forgot to mention that it was made by some talented students from the University of Strasbourg, some talented interns. Pauline Lacherade and Giuseppe Tarantino. So thank you to them. Yeah, so it was a lot of work.
Thank you. Juanjo, what about the platform?
Okay, regarding the platform, we use an open source learning platform that is opinion, is based on Drupal, but we completely adapt it and modify to our course and our structure. Okay.
Okay, so if someone is interested, the links to the platform can be provided, of course.
Yes.
I mean, the origins. If someone else wants to make a similar course, then this can be used as a good practice.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to put on the chat
Okay, perfect.
the link. This is okay. Opinion. Dot.
There were two different questions, one from Mauritius and one from Ukraine, needing a confirmation from us that this is a course that is available outside the EU. Of course, as long as you can sign in, it is available for you. So please do it, share it, use it, learn it. And from the Ukrainian question, there was a corollary sort of whether could it be possible to improve the course in Ukrainian later with the support of a relevant GIZ project in Ukraine? What about intellectual rights in that case? Who would like to take this?
Wow, complex question, is it?
It is.
Well, I know that Aurélie Le Chien from the European Commission is on board, so maybe shares a part of the answer. What I can imagine is that, of course, if there is a possibility to adapt the content in another language, we should, of course, well, have a look on it and work on it, and probably that the consortium should agree on this possibility. But of course, well, from my point of view, it could be a very interesting experience.
I don't know, Sahi, if that answered your first question, and your second, that whether the course will be updated later with new knowledge and experience, and who will support it during the life cycle. That goes back, I believe, to Samira, as the University of Strasbourg is going to be the host of this course, most likely.
Yes. What I can tell you about the course is that we paid special attention to the joint curriculum that was designed after the survey, and we compared it to our existing master degree, which is a French and German collaboration, and we tried to really cover all the new needs that were expressed in this thanks to this survey. And now we are designing the platform and also designing the courses that will complete what's already provided in this project. It's a traditional master degree certification. It can be a one-year certification, so professionals as well as regular students can apply for it, and it's online, so you can learn at your own rhythm. I hope it will be available September 21. So if there are other questions, I can give you more information. But we already have an existing master degree, as I have said, but it's an on-site program. Mm-hmm. The new aspect is that providing it online and in English will cover more learners or more people interested in cluster management in Europe and outside Europe, of course.
And this current course, if you're referring to this, Sahi, will likely stay as is, as this is the project. In a follow-up project, we may be able to build on it and make a next installment, probably including ideas, some of which were raised, like financial management, or other ideas.
Yes.
But currently, this this online course that we've produced is the product, and will stay the same.
Absolutely.
And finally, there was a suggestion about the forum. Who wants to take that? Because we've been talking a lot about the forum.
Juanjo.
Juanjo, probably, yeah.
What is the suggestion about the forum?
That we should make one.
Okay, in the platform there is one. In the platform there is one forum for the general course and also for the different modules. But you need to be registered as a student, of course, and to use it. And during the next period, we are going to be in charge of see. But it's not just to ask for us to the teachers or to the consortium partners, if not to share comments about the different modules between the students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more a forum from students to students, because
Exactly.
we won't be able after the end of the project, which is really close, to moderate it very well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, that was the idea, and that sort of answers Mr. Venkataswamy's question about whether it is best to do the course in the next 3 months to get maximum interaction. Probably there will be a surge right after launch. So if you're thinking about interaction among students and among the trainees, that's probably a good idea. Interaction with the trainers, interaction with us, that's a completely different matter. You will, from all these presentations, you have our availabilities. You may be able to look us up, but the course will be maintained as it is, and we hope that the key questions are answered within the course. Okay, I think we've run out of questions, actually. That's you have one last chance.
Yeah, there are some. We are on time, and there are some minutes left, so we have still some time for questions, for more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll ask a round question to the partners. What was your learning moment? Your most memorable learning moment from the project? What did you take away from the project? And I would like to ask each and every one of us, even those partners who haven't been participating yet. Take it away.
Well, if I may begin, it was for my part, as it was my first professional experience. I would say the whole project was learned me a lot, and it was very important for me. And I'm very happy now to see the results on the platform, etc. So that's yeah. And for specific moments, of course, it's a pity that we didn't have our final steering committee national meeting expected as a physical event, but the transnational meetings were always good events to attend. It was good to share from cluster to different also kind of organizations, to have cluster points of view, academicians' point of view. It was those interactions were very enriching on my part.
Thank you. Juanjo?
Okay. I was waiting for next. Sorry. I think for us, for Amuebla, as we are a cluster in furniture sector, it was a challenge to join this project, and we learned a lot about online training, okay, because it's not our main scope or our main aim. And we learned a lot about how to cooperate and to create new training materials. We have produced videos, we have produced infographics and many others. And also it was for us a good opportunity for our internationalization, okay, to look forward Spain also.
Mm-hmm. Samira?
Yes, for the University of Strasbourg and for my department, it was really a good opportunity to test new distance learning possibilities for and to promote distance learning and this type of platform. So we learned a lot, the different pedagogical choices that we can make, and the different ways of teaching actually. Or of transmitting information. So this is our learning experience. Yeah, and working also with different clusters, different partners from different countries, it was really good. It was really something very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all, guys.
Alain?
Well, I share, of course, what Samira said. We learned a lot. I'm used to, as I said, to do vocational training for cluster manager, but this is really a very specific experience to try to put this online. So, as I said, we probably made a lot of mistakes, but we learned, and probably that we won't do exactly the the things in the same way for the next step. But well, I think it will be, and I'm sure it will be useful for our colleagues who want to use this tool.
Okay. Uh, and I would like to call to show their faces and to speak. Juan Carlos and Ramon as well are two partners who haven't spoken yet.
I was very attentive listening to everyone, and for Argener as well. I mean, it has been a great experience because despite the fact that we are, I mean, to some extent, quite active training and in learning processes, but mainly at national level, we organize trainings for our members. But it was really a first experience in terms of online learning, distance learning, and also cooperate with our clusters to prepare, I mean, such a comprehensive, in my opinion, course, which I think is a very, very good basic for a process of a scaling in the future with other, I mean, settings. So we are very happy of having participated, of having collaborated with you all. And then we are very much forward to upscaling the whole thing, I mean, to adapt it to other contexts, settings, and other modalities as well. Because as Ulla said in the beginning when she gave her speech, COVID-19 has put forward digitalization. I mean, a lot of changes that were already coming. So I think probably we have to adjust this training to the context. So it will be quite challenging, but we are looking forward to it.
Thank you. And Juan Carlos.
I totally agree with my previous colleagues, and in particular for us, since we are at Freiburg, we are a business incubator. We work a lot with entrepreneurs, with companies, SMEs. We deal with different training programs, online, presential, physical, and so on. But our experience with cluster is not that big. So for us, it's been a remarkable experience because we have learned a lot. And if I have to say one learning moment is when I saw after we developed altogether the structure of the course that has been all presented, and I realized that it was a very well structured course that could be that could be used for further developments as a blueprint for all of the partners and other institutions, and could also the base for future cluster managers programs and so on. So I think it's a very valuable experience from our point of view.
Thank you. And now that all the participants had an opportunity to meet all of our team now, and as there seem to be no more questions, I am giving the floor back to Clémence for a closure.
I would like to propose as a closer, I don't know, I mean, for all the participants, when you start using the training platform, you will see that most of the videos in each lesson, I mean, each module there is a video and then a hard copy of the content, etc. All of us, we start with clapping like this. So I would like to finish maybe this webinar with that clap as well. Okay, that's so that.
Yeah, okay. No problem.
Always good ideas, Ramon.
So this was your best moment, right? I was a bit disappointed that nobody spoke about the filmings to tell their best moments. But yeah, okay. So thank you very much to every speakers and to every attendees of this webinar. I think we had enriching discussions, and we are all also happy to declare that the Cluster4Smart training is now launched after several adjustments until last week. Now everything is ready, everything is prepared. So please discover, browse, and we wish you a great training experience on our training platform.
And please give your feedback. It will be very useful. We had already a pilot testing phase with about 35 cluster manager, but please, we need your feedback.
Yeah, definitely.
And Gal is ready to clap.
Ready to clap?
1, 2. You have to. I mean, you have to. 1,
3,
2,
1. Goodbye, everyone.
See you soon, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you
Care.
all.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.